Okay.
So now, how long, all told, has Lineberger Farm been in existence?
Well, I grew up in this house over here. I think my dad bought this place in 1929, and of course we raised family here, and all of us were involved in the farm since then.
And did you say earlier it was mostly to feed the family?
Right.
To start with. Then they started selling a few things off the front porch and the front yard, and started picking a few quarts of strawberries and selling to the Winn-Dixie stores. And somehow they managed with his dad worked on a job where I think the most he ever made was $90 a week, wasn't it there?
Yeah.
But they managed to put 7 children through college. Back then it didn't cost so much to go to college like it does now. Nothing cost as much. But you didn't get as much for what you sold either, so.
Now, what did you all grow in the beginning?
Well, we strawberries, mainly a money crop, and sweet corn, peanuts. We grew peanuts and sold them, and sweet potatoes, and what else?
Here,
Yeah.
well, Danny was growing the corn, but with us,
Well, we were growing
corn,
Yeah.
corn, tomatoes. His mother did a lot of flowers. She grew plants.
Gladolias.
And
Yeah.
she sold flowers to a florist. She loved flowers.
Is that something y'all have left behind?
Yeah.
Frankie might want to grow a few again. we've had a few out there in the garden, but not a whole lot. I mean, to sell florists, we don't.
Yeah,
do
we've
it.
just been messing around with it more than anything.
So, Ethan and Frankie, do you all represent the third generation of Lineberger farmers?
Yes. Yeah,
Well, or fourth, because Graham and Sarah, and then
One,
you.
two. But we kind of skipped your dad.
Yeah, that's right. Four.
He's coming back to help.
Well, he's been helping on it all his life,
Yeah.
though.
4 generations.
Yeah. And he works in agriculture at State College. He's an engineer, a technician there. And he's going to come back and help a whole lot when he retires, which is within this year.
And forgive me, I skipped a question. I should have been asking when exactly your parents started farming here.
When did we?
When did your family start?
1929, I guess. Yeah.
An auspicious year for let's say.
Yeah, they bought it just before the Great Depression.
Right.
Yeah, at the pre-Depression price, and then had to make the payments on it through the Depression.
Wow. I don't imagine you remember any of that.
Yeah, I do.
Can you tell me a little about what that was like?
Hard work. With 7 children, you always got to stay on your toes to make enough money to buy things with. And Mom worked on the farm, and Dad was an ice cream salesman. And his salary was the only thing we had to go on besides what we made on the farm, which wasn't a whole lot, but it kept us going.
And the work was done with a Mary tiller and a hoe.
Yeah.
It was what, you were 15 when y'all got your first tractor?
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Is that the biggest change for you guys?
no, there are other, maybe it is, but there are lots of changes that, the irrigation, when we started using irrigation, of course, mine and Harold's farming has not always been at this farm. He grew up here, but then when we lived in Wadesboro for a little while, and he was working with Extension, we had a little garden in our backyard and sold a few strawberries to the Winn-Dixie store.
That was a little garden.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. And then we moved to Cherryville, and we started a U-Pick strawberry patch. That's when U-Pick was first coming on the scene. And people would line up. They'd come before daylight with dish pans and flashlights. to pick those strawberries, and they'd tell us how many they had in that dish pan, and that's what we charged them for. But then we went to selling in boxes, so we had a more standard kind of measure.
That was 50 years ago. Used to be, back then, U-pick was the thing. People liked to pick their own. But it's the last 20, 30 years, it's gone the other direction. People would rather pay a little more for them and get somebody else to pick them.
Well, but it's coming back in a whole different way. I mean, Frankie and Ethan could tell you more about that, but she does a lot of Facebook advertising for young families. We have added this entertainment stuff and push it as a family fun place. And our U-Pick now is mostly young families that come with their children just for an outing, and they pick a small amount. Used to be people did a whole lot of freezing and canning, and they're not doing as much of that now. They're buying smaller quantities. And the people without children, the young crowd that are working 40 hours a week and don't have as much time, they'd rather just stop in and buy a box of strawberries already picked than to come out and pick. But those with families U-Pick is making a comeback with that particular group of people.
Are strawberries still your biggest crop?
Yeah, well, by acreage, we got probably about the same amount of strawberries as we do blackberries, and almost as many pumpkins.
Strawberries are probably our most popular, like our best seller.
We probably get more people coming through the door for strawberries. Some of our other things like blackberries, a good many of them go out wholesale to different people, and a good many of them go out for processing to make like wine or cider or things like that.
Is that new? Is that new?
Well, I imagine people have been making blackberry wine for a pretty long time. We've been selling to Duplin since what, 2004, 2006,
I'm not sure.
something like that.
5 or 6 years. Duplin
It's
Winery.
been longer than that. We were selling to Duplin when I was in high school, and I've been out of high school for 10 or 11 years.
The excess blackberries that we don't sell fresh, we freeze them in 1,500-pound containers, and then we ship them out to Duplin. And we're going to ship them out next week, in fact. We'll have a couple tractor trailer loads of it.
So that blackberry wine is kind of an old-time thing that's seeing a resurgence in popularity, and maybe the U-Pick the same way. Do you think people are kind of hungry for that, if you'll pardon the pun, for that?
Yeah, I think now the farm is the reason why people are interested in bringing their families out, because it's a novelty. You know, they're not used to this kind of open space and environment, and the kids, they love seeing the different plants and the flowers and the insects and all that kind of stuff, because they're not used to being sort of in that environment where they can just run around without being worried about cars or, you know, what have you.
Then we have the tractor rides in the fall, October.
Mike's been out here for a lot of those with the children. Yeah.
One of the biggest changes as far as our farming goes here is irrigation. When I was a boy, we didn't have irrigation, and come a time like this, a hot and dry time, everything would dry up. But we spend a lot of money on ponds and deep wells, and we irrigate everything we grow. If you don't, you're in for a lot of disappointment, like right now, you know.
Can you remember a summer this hot before irrigation?
A few of them, yeah.
What did you do to combat it?
Nothing. There's
Just didn't
nothing you
have
could do.
anything.
I used to walk to Dallas, and I'd cross the bridge down there on the creek, and I'd see all that water running down the creek, and I'd think, if I just had that water on my fields right now, I could make some money. Didn't have it. So we've spent a lot of money on deep wells. We have how many on this farm?
Four on this farm.
And then three ponds.
And underground irrigation lines everywhere. I mean, there's not anything on this farm that we grow that does not have irrigation.
When did you put those in?
All the time.
Yeah.
We're all the time putting them in.
We moved back to this farm in '83, and it's been a constant struggle to get enough irrigation lines and ponds built.
You know, farm didn't just turn up like this. You know, he and me, we've added sections. You know, we get another piece of land and get it cleared and into production, put the irrigation lines in, start growing something there, and then we get another piece of land and get it cleared and get the irrigation. You know, we're always just moving along, and that's so. Like, I mean, that peach orchard out there 5 years ago, it was a stand of pine trees. You know, and we got that cleared, and we got the peach orchard put in, and it was just 2 or 3 years ago that we put the irrigation in over there. It was 2 years ago we put the deep well in up on the top of the hill back there to get irrigation back there. So it's a constant thing. And as irrigation technology has changed, we've moved from doing pretty all overhead irrigation, where you're pumping water through sprinklers that are broadcasting it over the top of the plants, to now we still do a lot of that, and that's still important, and we still think there's a lot of value in that, but we also try to do a good bit of drip irrigation nowadays. And you'll see that in the peach orchard, for instance, or on the strawberries that we grow in the plastic bedding, or the pumpkins that are planted in plastic right now. And in those cases, we're running plastic drip lines underneath the ground in each row, and dripping right to the plant roots underground, so you don't get any loss to evaporation, and you don't increase the disease pressure through wetting the foliage. So that's proved valuable to us as well. And it's like there's different strengths and weaknesses of each system, and we still think both systems are good. But you know, we do a lot of drip irrigation now, and probably 15 years ago or 20 years ago we didn't do any drip irrigation.
How fast do changes come now compared to when you were first farming?
I don't know, about the same, except you're always having to adjust to new things, like new chemicals, for instance. We paid $721 for a gallon of insecticide not long ago. I won't let Ethan
Expense,
forget
that's
that.
another big, I mean, the whole expense of farming has just gone way up from what it was back in his parents' time.
Yeah.
And then with just a Mary Tiller and a hoe and seeds, a little bit of seven dust. That was about it.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, everything, like to get one well in, by the time you get your well and your pump, you could easily have $25,000 tied up in just that one well. But
It's there from now on.
you might not have a crop at all on that if you didn't have it, so it pays for itself. It's just a lot of
We-
expense.
We depend a lot on irrigation in the spring to keep frost off the strawberries.
How does that work?
Well, if temperature is going to be frosty that night, you start your pump running about 33 degrees,
Yeah.
and
35.
that holds the temperature at 33 degrees, and the bloom won't freeze at 33. It has to be down to about 28. So as
See-
long as you keep that water running, the ice keeps melting, and you don't get below 33 degrees, and you save your crop.
See, as the water's fairly warm, and water has a lot of it's at a what the physicists call a high specific heat. That means it's resistant to temperature change. So you're putting that 55 or 60 degree water out continuously, and as it cools down and freezes, that heat is being released from the water. That's how it's freezing, and that moves into the bloom and keeps your bloom temperature at 33 or 32. So that's the concept.
And we've been in it about 50 years, and every year we've had to do that at one time or another. Sometimes it's 1 day, sometimes it's 3 days. One year it was 13 times we had to do that. It's expensive, to pump that much water, and it looks like a waste of water, but you save your crop that way.
We're talking about nights when we have baby strawberries and it gets too cold for the baby strawberries to survive unless you keep them above freezing.
Yeah.
And I should have asked earlier, how many acres?
Well, I think there's about 60 acres over here and about 30 or so acres at Iron Station, but not all those are used in production. I mean, some of it is areas like this for agro-tourism, others is sloping woodlands that aren't good for farming. We probably have about 45 acres of crops, 45 to 50.
Yeah, that's about right.
And what is it, Ethan, Frankie, that attracted you back to the industry?
Well, we like the lifestyle. The seasonality of it is very attractive. You have your busy season where you're working lots and lots of hours. Then you have the winter where things slow down. It's challenging, and so that's interesting. There's many different problems to solve, and the problems change from day to day. So you're not locked in working on one project for 6 months or a year or anything like that. It's not how it works. You've got something different to think about every day, and pretty much no 2 days are the same. On a year-to-year basis, you do the same or some of the same things over and over again, but in any given day within a year, they're pretty much all different. I mean, you're rarely working on the same job longer than a day or two.
I like it because in college we learned a lot about the local food movement and how it was better for the environment to eat local and better for your local community and everything. So this just felt like a really good fit.
How much of what you all eat at home do you grow yourselves?
A lot.
Yeah,
Most of it in the summer.
yeah.
Yeah, especially in the summertime.
We usually trade at the farmer's market for a farmer who has meat, so then that.
And we
Then that's about
raised
it.
some chickens last year, so we've eaten a lot of those chickens as well. Yeah, you can definitely see a big difference in our grocery bill in the summer months when we've got stuff coming in.
Is that interesting to you all to hear about the local food movement? For when you were a boy, that's just how you ate. It wasn't
Yeah.
a movement.
Yeah. We're really proud of these two, thankful for these two coming back here and doing this, because when me and Harold spent our whole life building the farm, and we didn't inherit any whole bunch of stuff. We worked other jobs and used our money to pay for what we needed for the farm. But it just means a lot to you when you